The afternoon light slants through my office window, casting a golden glow across the row of gaming awards lining my bookshelf, each crystal trophy catching the light differently. I run my finger along the edge of my newest one, admiring the laser-etched words "Innovation of the Year," and let out a long, slow breath. 18 years ago, I was a homeless teenager, crashing on a friend's couch, humiliated and furious that my own family had forsaken me. Now I'm Avery Drake, founder of Blackbird Studios. Today, those trophies glisten like proof that I have overcome everything they tried to take from me. I close my eyes for a moment, remembering the day I finally saw my name on a gaming magazine cover. The swirl of cameras, the handshake from the editor, the stunned faces of onlookers who recognized me as that self-taught developer who came out of nowhere. I can still taste the adrenaline that fueled me. A single tear forms at the corner of my eye, a release of all the tension that accumulates day by day. My phone buzzes softly, jarring me from my recollection. Check the screen. A reminder. Tuesday, work from home to focus on new concept. Perfect. I've blocked out these hours to refine the storyline of our next big project, codenamed Horizon Bridge. My mind starts buzzing with possibilities. Then, without warning, the doorbell rings. I'm not expecting anyone. My team knows I keep Tuesdays as creative days, so they don't drop by unannounced. My best friend and lead developer Olivia would text first. My creative director Marvin is halfway across the country, finalizing a marketing deal. Nobody should be here. Heart pounding, I make my way to the front door. The old knot of anxiety I've spent years unraveling tightens again. I swing open the door, and there she stands, my mother, Bethany Drake. Smaller than I remember, shoulders slightly hunched. For a moment, I see the iron-willed figure she used to be, the woman who once ruled our home with poise. But now her eyes are tinged with regret, her cheeks etched with deeper lines. She clutches a weathered cardboard box to her chest, as though it might protect her from the cold wind in my eyes. "Avery," she says softly, voice trembling. "May I come in?" My mother and I have only had minimal contact since I was 17. For nearly 2 decades, I've sent holiday cards that went unanswered, made phone calls that were never returned, and learned to live without any acceptance from her or my father. My parents, Bethany and Leonard, had a way of making everything about my younger sister, Haley, and about appearances. They never hid their preference for her, and they never hesitated to let me know my dreams didn't align with the neat little template they had in mind for me. Now she shows up on my doorstep, unannounced. My first instinct is to slam the door in her face, ignoring her the same way she ignored me when I was living out of a duffel bag. But curiosity flares up like an ember I can't extinguish. 5 minutes, I say coldly, stepping aside. She shuffles in, taking in my home. The decor is modern, the city view of Lakebridge's skyline breathtaking through the glass walls. She sets the tattered box on my coffee table, glancing at the framed magazine covers that show me smiling in front of million-dollar product launches. She clears her throat, her eyes flicking around in faint awe. "You've done well for yourself," she offers in a shaky voice. I cross my arms, leaning against the wall. "What do you want?" Her fingers tremble as she carefully pushes the box toward me. "There's something you need to see." I stare at the box. The last time I received an unsolicited box from my family, it was a batch of old photographs they thought I might want. Turned out half of them were missing. Pictures of me at any milestone event had been removed. Maybe it was just their way of erasing me. But this time when I open the lid, I see letters. Dozens of them, stacked with neat precision. And then I see something that makes my heart pound so violently I can almost hear the rush of blood in my ears. Each letter is from a university admissions office. My name is on all of them. Postmarks from 2005. "These are acceptance letters," I whisper, the pages trembling in my hand. "Why do you have them?" My mother's voice wavers. I thought it was better if you didn't see them. Haley was struggling so much with her own applications. We didn't want you overshadowing her." A burning sensation spreads through my chest. I read the first letter. "We are pleased to inform you." The second. "Full scholarship offered." The third, the fourth. Big names, prestigious universities, dream programs. Every letter is another key to a door that was slammed in my face all those years ago. You let me believe, I say hoarsely, that nobody accepted me. Then you watched Dad kick me out. I didn't know he'd really do it, she pleads, eyes filling with tears. He was angry, frustrated. He was so proud of Haley, and I laugh, and the sound is colder than I've ever heard from myself. Yeah, proud of Haley. Nothing new there. I close my eyes for a moment, a montage of memories flashing behind my eyelids. Me begging the mail carrier to let me check if there was anything for me, day after day, as acceptance letters should have been rolling in. The pitying look on my father's face when he'd say, "No news yet, Avery?" Haley's smug half-smile whenever I walked by, reeking of self-satisfaction. Then that final night, my father's bellow. "Not one single acceptance, Avery. You didn't even try. Get out of this house. You're an embarrassment." He was always a man of appearances. A failure child had no place at his dinner table. So I left with a garbage bag of clothes, a refusal to let them see me cry. And I never went back. My mother's face crumples. "We were wrong. We should have told you the truth. But you've done so well anyway. You don't need a degree. Look at all you've accomplished." She gestures to my trophies, to the wall of framed achievements. My eyes flicker over them, a swirl of anger and sadness coiling in my gut. Even now, she's trying to spin this into a compliment. My nails dig crescents into my palms. "You want to talk about accomplishments?" I say, my voice tight. "You weren't there when I was sleeping in an abandoned kiosk at a rundown tech repair shop. You weren't there when I taught myself coding on library computers. You weren't there when I launched my first indie game out of a friend's basement. I wanted to study at a real university. I wanted to have a chance. And you stole it." She's quiet for a long moment. Then she squares her shoulders. "The family is in trouble," she whispers. "Your father's medical bills are enormous. Haley is going through a divorce, and she lost her job. We thought maybe you could." I cut her off with an icy laugh. "You came here for money." Her tearful look confirms my suspicion. I tap the letters stacked on the table, each one representing a stolen opportunity. "You realize what you've done to me, right? Avery, get out," I say calmly, pointing at the door. "I can't do this right now." She hesitates, mouth open, but something in my eyes must communicate how close I am to unleashing more rage than she can handle. She lifts the box, stepping back as though I might strike her. "You don't." I just watch until she's gone, the door clicking shut behind her. For a long moment, all I can do is stand there, staring at the spot where she stood. Then I sink onto the couch, bury my face in my hands, and let out a low, trembling exhale. I thought I buried this pain years ago, beneath layers of success and forging my own path. But that box of letters rips open old wounds, and I'm drowning in the raw, choking memory of what might have been. I force myself to breathe. The gaming trophies gleam in the corner of my eye, reflecting the sunlight that seems suddenly too bright. A terrible clarity forms in my mind. They didn't come to apologize, they came to use me. That truth stings more than anything else. Over the next few days, I do everything I can to avoid thinking about my mother's visit. I throw myself into coding, refining storyboards with my team, losing track of hours until exhaustion forces me home. But at night I can't escape. Images of those stolen letters plague me. I can almost see my 17-year-old self, exhausted, hungry, huddled in that claustrophobic corner of my friend Morgan's apartment, trying not to feel worthless. "Avery," I whisper to the memory, "you deserved more." On Friday morning, I'm perched in our sleek conference room at Blackbird Studios, going over budget proposals with Olivia, my lead developer and best friend since that time we worked behind the counter of Arcade Masters, fixing old consoles for peanuts. Olivia's a brilliant coder, wide-eyed, perpetually wearing anime t-shirts under her expensive blazer. She has been with me through every battle. The scrappy early Kickstarter campaigns, the overshadowed game expos, the first stuttering glimpses of success. She gives me a long, searching look. You've been weird all week. What's wrong? I glance away, fiddling with my stylus. My mother showed up on my doorstep. Olivia's eyes narrow. Bethany. Just like that. Yep, I say, rummaging through a stack of concept sketches. You know how I used to think I never got into any college program? Turns out I got into a bunch of them. Full rides, half rides, scholarship offers. She and my father hid them all so Haley wouldn't look bad. Olivia opens her mouth in shock. Are you serious? I laugh, but there's no humor in it. Dead serious. So they let my father blame me for failing. Let him toss me out. And now they want my help. She sucks in a breath. That's monstrous, Avery. Are you okay? I rub my eyes. I'm angry. But I'm also, I don't know, hurt. Like all this time, I've convinced myself I never needed their approval. But to know they literally sabotaged me. She puts a gentle hand on my arm. What are you gonna do? I don't know, I admit, voice quivering slightly. Part of me wants payback. Part of me wants to just slam the door forever. We fall silent, a tension thrumming in the air. Outside the conference room, the hum of our open workspace drifts in. The whir of computers, the low chatter of designers immersed in problem-solving. My safe place. My new family. There's no rush, Olivia says softly. Take the time you need to figure it out. But the next day, my father, Leonard, decides to corner me after a local tech panel. He's waiting by the exit in an ill-fitting coat, a bit gaunt, hair thinner than I recall. My first impulse is to walk right past him, but he steps forward, blocking my path. Avery, he begins, clearing his throat. I'd like to speak with you. I freeze, forcing myself not to recoil. I'm busy, I say curtly. He glances over my shoulder at the small crowd in the lobby, then leans in, voice low. I'll make it quick. Your mother told you about my medical bills. You're successful now. And Haley. Haley is not my responsibility, I say sharply. Neither are you. You saw to that when I was 17. A flush creeps over his face. I was harsh, but you were so rebellious. You had that silly dream of designing games. Silly dream, I echo, shaking my head. Dad, I was accepted into multiple colleges for game design. But you hid the letters. And then you kicked me out. That's not harsh. That's unforgivable. He clenches his jaw. I see flickers of remorse, frustration, maybe even shame. He starts to speak, but no words come. Finally he croaks. We did what we thought was best for the family. I stare at him, an eerie calm settling over me. And now, you want me to do what's best for the family too, right? He doesn't deny it. The silence says it all. Take a step back. You have no idea what those years were like for me. But let me tell you something, Dad. I've spent half my life building from scratch, while you and Mom pretended I didn't exist. So don't ask for my help. You don't deserve it. His cheeks redden, and for a second I wonder if he'll yell at me again, but he glances around at the crowd, sees the onlookers and deflates. You can't turn your back on us now, he whispers. We're family. I walk away. The last I see of him is his hunched figure, shoulders shaking slightly, a half-lost expression on his face. I'm not sure if he's angry, ashamed, or simply defeated. The final straw arrives 1 week later. Haley steps into Blackbird Studios' lobby without warning, wearing big sunglasses and carrying a sleek handbag, as if she's about to power trip her way back into my life. I don't even see her at first, but security messages me via intercom. Ms. Drake, there's a woman here who says she's your sister, insisting on speaking with you. She's making a bit of a scene. I hurry downstairs, heart pounding. I find Haley in her designer shoes, arguing with Marla at the front desk. The moment she sees me, she stiffens. There's a flash of anger, or maybe it's desperation. Avery, she says, flipping up her sunglasses. We need to talk. I tilt my head, offering a tight smile. No, Haley, we really don't. She sighs dramatically. Can we at least go somewhere private? I fold my arms and jerk my head toward one of the small meeting rooms off to the side. She follows me in, shutting the door behind us. Her expression is stricken. Dad's in real trouble, she begins. He needs a procedure, and insurance won't cover enough. He's stressed. Mom is a wreck. And I'm dealing with a nasty divorce. My ex is draining my accounts, so I'm basically broke. I study her face. Once upon a time, Haley was the golden child, the unstoppable achiever. She looks tired now, with dark circles under her eyes. I see, I say quietly. And you want me to swoop in with my checkbook, fix everything, and let you move in with me or something like that? She looks down, biting her lip. Just a loan. I'll pay you back. A short laugh escapes me. Really? With what funds? Her eyes flash. Don't be cruel, Avery. I know our parents messed up, but that's all in the past. We're still family. I feel that acidic burn of anger rising in my throat. You knew, I accuse, voice shaking. You knew the letters never even reached me. Haley presses her lips together. I might have suspected. Mom was always fussing over my acceptances. She didn't want me to feel overshadowed. But I didn't think Dad would actually kick you out. I thought it was just. I hold up a hand. Stop. I don't need the excuses. I know you enjoyed all the attention. You like being the star. And let's not pretend you lifted a finger to help me when I was on the street. She tries to speak again, but I cut her off. You don't get to ask me for anything. Not after hiding the fact that I had the path I always wanted right in front of me. She bristles. Why can't you just move on? You've got this huge company, millions of dollars in revenue, everything you could want. Isn't that enough? I lean forward, my voice deadly calm. You think success erases what you did? Doesn't. You stole my future. Now you're here, basically begging me to save you. Haley's chin trembles. For a moment I see fear, not just of me, but fear of a world that's no longer bending to her will. Then tears well in her eyes. Avery, please, she whispers. I'm desperate. The old me, the 17-year-old who used to cry herself to sleep, wants to lash out. But the older, wiser me just feels sad. I take a slow breath, open the door, and gesture for her to leave. I'll be in touch, I say. But not the way you want. She stares at me, eyes glistening. Then she strides out, shoulders rigid, losing the fragile mask of pride that she wore on her face. I watch her vanish around the corner, and the tension in my shoulders throbs with every heartbeat. After she's gone, I head back upstairs, where Olivia is waiting in my office, arms crossed. I take it she wants money too, she asks softly. I nod, sinking into my chair. Yes. Olivia perches on the corner of my desk. Well, are you going to give it to them? Exhale. No, I'm not. I owe them nothing, Liv. But I need to do something. I need closure. She studies me for a long moment. Then maybe it's time you show them exactly what they took. Itemize it. Put a price on the life they stole. Maybe that's the only language they'll understand. Strange jolt goes through me. You mean, literally bill them for the lost opportunities? She shrugs. If you want them to realize the magnitude of what they did, sometimes you have to speak in terms they comprehend. It's a startling, almost outrageous idea. But it resonates, because my father always talked about cost-benefit analyses, always measured success in terms of money, never in tangible creativity. Maybe it's exactly what I need to do. That night, I pore over spreadsheets, pulling data on tuition costs from 2005, average living expenses, internship stipends, career trajectory had I entered the gaming industry with a degree versus starting as a self-taught coder. My eyes sting from staring at the screen, but I can't stop. There's something cathartic about calculating the total. Year by year, line by line, I place a monetary figure on what I lost. 4 hours later, my final number emerges. It's breathtaking, in a horrifying way, to see your stolen dream reduced to a single figure. I attach it to an email with a simple note. If you truly want to make amends for the future you kept from me, pay me back. Then I press send. It's petty, I think, leaning back in my chair. But it's also a statement. They want me to bail them out. This is the cost of my stolen destiny. This is what they owe me. Days pass without a response. I'm not surprised. My mother tries calling a few times, leaves tearful voicemails. My father remains silent. Haley sends a single text. How dare you? I delete it without replying. Meanwhile, life at Blackbird Studios surges forward. Our new game, Horizon Bridge, enters beta testing, and the feedback is electric. Our social media starts lighting up with fans praising the storyline, the innovative mechanics. We secure a feature in a major gaming magazine, calling us the unstoppable force in indie development. Late one evening, I'm alone in the test lab, reviewing a final cut scene. The scene depicts a main character, outcast from their homeland, forging a new identity through adversity. It hits me that in many ways, I've woven my own story into this game. A knock on the door startles me. Marvin, our marketing director, pokes his head in. Hey Avery, sorry to bother you this late, but there's something you should see. He hands me his tablet, open to a local news article. In it, my parents are quoted, painting a very different picture of the past. They say they always encouraged Avery's interests, that they're very proud, that my father's health is compromised, and hopefully Avery will extend the same generosity we once gave her. I choke out a bitter laugh. Generosity, I mutter. Right. My phone buzzes in my pocket. A new message from my mother. Against my better judgment, I open it. Avery, your father's condition is worse. He must have another procedure. I beg you, please have mercy. We can't pay your invoice. We never could. He doesn't have long. Please don't let him die like this. Guilt snakes through me, and I press my lips together in a firm line. Is it all a manipulation? Or is he really dying? My father isn't young, and he was never in great shape. My mind tangles with conflicting impulses. For so long I fantasized about them regretting everything. Now that regret might be real, and it tears at me in unexpected ways. I schedule a session with my therapist, Dr. Carmichael. She's been guiding me through complex issues for a year. I sit on the plush armchair, hands clenched in my lap as I tell her everything. She listens quietly, then says, "You've carried this pain for so long, Avery. It's understandable you want them to feel the cost. But revenge rarely brings peace." I glare at the floor. I know. But it's not just revenge. They took so much from me. They never apologized. They just want money. Perhaps, she says gently. But is there a way to find closure without sinking to their level? You built a life. You thrive. You're living your dream, even if it was harder than it should have been. Do you want to help them, or do you want to walk away? I stare at my hands. I don't want them to die. But I don't want them to walk over me either. She offers a kind smile. You are allowed to set boundaries. And you are allowed to show compassion without surrendering your self-respect. I leave her office more conflicted than ever, but a small part of me feels lighter. Maybe the path forward isn't purely about punishing them. Maybe it's about deciding what kind of person I am, with or without their validation. The next day, I invite my mother and father to meet me at a cafe near the lake, in a public place so that we'll all keep our voices down. I choose a secluded corner table, half shaded by a big glass window. They arrive together, my mother supporting my father's arm. He looks frail, maybe ill in a way that's not purely dramatic. I gesture for them to sit. They do, looking around nervously. My father coughs, and my mother rubs his back. A wave of old, complicated emotions surges in me. Memories of him patting my shoulder while I did my homework, of her braiding my hair when I was small. I clamp down on it, refusing nostalgia. I got your messages. I begin evenly. Here's the deal. I'm willing to help. But there are conditions. My father's eyes dart to me. You'll help with my medical bills? Exhale. A portion of them, yes. But only after you both acknowledge what you did to me, out loud. They blanch. My mother meets my gaze, tears brimming. I told you we were wrong. Isn't that not enough? I say, a sharp edge in my voice. I want to hear you admit you stole my acceptance letters. You cost me the chance to go to college. That you kicked me out. That you never once tried to fix it. Silence hangs, broken only by the hiss of the espresso machine in the background. Finally, my father clears his throat. I did those things. I allowed your mother and Haley to hide your letters. I let my anger and pride push you away. My mother lets out a shuddering breath. Yes, we did it to protect Haley, so she wouldn't feel inferior to you. We never expected you to be thrown out, but once you were gone, we felt it was too late to fix it. I blink hard, wanting to bury my face in my hands, but I stay composed. Thank you for telling the truth. They wait for me to say something more, but I'm fighting the quake in my chest. This is all I ever wanted. A real apology. Acknowledgement. I can't seem to find relief. It's there, but it's also overshadowed by the magnitude of the pain. My father's cough rattles his chest. He looks old, thin. I'm sorry, Avery, he says, voice strangled. I can't change the past. I can only ask that you forgive me in whatever way you can. My mother looks at me, shoulders slumped. You were our brilliant child, Avery. Maybe we were scared of your potential, maybe we didn't know how to handle it. But we stole your future, and we were wrong. I swallow, tears pricking my eyes. If I help you pay for the treatments, it won't be about forgetting what happened. Can't forget it. But I'll do it because I can live with being compassionate. I can't live with seeing myself become heartless. A tear slips down my mother's cheek. My father tries to suppress another cough, but it breaks free, echoing in the small cafe. Something clenches inside me. I remember him standing tall in our living room, telling me to stop with this gaming nonsense. Now he's crumpled, reliant on me to survive. Thank you, he whispers. I push a piece of paper across the table. This is how much I can contribute. The rest is on you. And don't expect me to be a caretaker. I'm not moving you in with me. I'm not paying for everything else in your life. I'm just helping with these bills so you can have a chance. That's it. They nod, each of them gazing at the number as though it's a lifeline. It's a hefty amount, but less than my original invoice. My mother's tears flow faster. We'll take it. We'll figure out the rest. I stand, arms folded. I hope you do. Good luck. Without another word, I leave them there, staring after me. My heart thunders with every step, and for a moment I think I might collapse into sobs. Instead, I keep walking, inhaling the crisp lake air. In the parking lot, I pause, pressing my hand to my racing heart. 18 years of fury and longing swirl inside me, but one truth emerges. I have to live with my choices, and today, I chose not to let them define me by hatred alone. The next few months pass in a blur of new deals and expanded studios. My father's surgery happens, and I hear from the hospital billing office that the charges have been partially covered, as arranged. I don't visit. I don't send flowers. But I don't regret helping him. It's enough to know I kept my humanity intact. Haley leaves me voicemails from time to time, though I rarely listen to them. I hear secondhand from acquaintances that she's picking up the pieces after her divorce, living in a modest apartment, looking for a job. She tries emailing me an apology, an invitation to talk. I delete it. I'm not ready. Meanwhile, I finalize plans for a charitable initiative called Bright Horizons, a scholarship for teens whose families sabotage their futures or refuse to support their ambitions. My CFO, Carmen, helps me navigate the legalities and structure it as a 501(c)(3). We announce it on our website. Full scholarships to accredited programs, mentorship from Blackbird Studio staff, guaranteed internships. Within days, we're flooded with applications. This is amazing, Olivia says, reading the heartfelt essays from kids who yearn to become game designers, coders, artists, kids who remind me of me. You're going to change their lives, Avery. I stare at the screen, smiling. I wish someone had done it for me. Our first scholarship recipient is a shy 17-year-old named Jocelyn, whose parents forced her to hide her sketches and insisted she focus on real jobs. Now, she's heading to a top design program on a full ride courtesy of Bright Horizons. During the small ceremony where we present the scholarship, she hugs me with tears in her eyes, whispering, "You're the reason I get to do this. Thank you." It's the first time in years I feel tears of my own, tears that aren't about anger or pain, but about pride and joy in making a difference. I realize that, in my own way, I've claimed victory over the injustice done to me. One brisk autumn afternoon, I stand before my entire staff, announcing that Blackbird Studios has officially expanded to 3 new offices, that Horizon Bridge has surpassed 2 million downloads, and that we've been nominated for another Innovation Award. The applause is deafening. I blink, swallowing the knot in my throat. My eyes sweep the crowd, designers, coders, marketers, people who believed in me and in themselves. I spot Olivia near the front, her grin wide, giving me 2 thumbs up. I see Marvin, quiet tears of pride glistening. Carmen nods in approval, arms folded. And beyond them, every face is lit with the same hope I carry in my heart. None of this would be possible without all of you, I say into the microphone. We built this studio on the idea that we could create something meaningful out of what others might discard. We've succeeded together, and we'll keep succeeding. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for trusting each other. Afterwards, we celebrate with pizza and sparkling cider, a tradition that began in a shabby basement office when we had only 3 employees. The feeling of camaraderie is so real, so vivid, it almost glows in the air. Then, a soft beep from my phone draws my attention. It's an email from an address I don't recognize. Probably spam, I think, but then I see the subject line. "I'm sorry for everything." I slip away to a corner, reading it privately. It's from my father, typed in short sentences. He says he's recovering from the procedure, that he's thought about how cruel he was, that he wishes he could go back. He thanks me for saving his life. At the end, he writes, "Whether or not you want to see me, I understand. But I had to tell you how proud I truly am of you. I was wrong. About everything." I clench my phone, eyes burning with tears that threaten to spill. A swirl of conflicting emotions surges in me. Do I want to reconnect with him? Do I want to keep him at a distance? My mind buzzes, but I find a strange calm in acknowledging that I have the power to decide. They no longer hold control over me. I breathe deeply and slip my phone into my pocket, rejoining the celebration. Tonight, I want to remain with the people who have always had my back. That's enough. The future can wait until tomorrow. Weeks later, I'm in my office at home, finishing some design sketches for our next game. It's early evening, light fading outside, turning the sky a gentle pink. My doorbell rings. Curious, I set my tablet aside and answer it. On the porch stands Jocelyn, the scholarship recipient, looking anxious. "Jocelyn, everything okay?" Yes. She fiddles with her messenger bag. Yes, sorry to drop by. But I wanted to show you something." She hands me a portfolio. Inside are concept sketches for a story-driven puzzle game. It's breathtakingly beautiful, the style raw and evocative. "I was just accepted into the advanced track at school," she says, cheeks flushing. "I wanted you to be the first to know." A grin spreads across my face, warmth flooding me. "That's incredible. Come in, we can talk. I'll make some tea." She follows me inside, eyes wide as she takes in the gaming awards on my shelf, the immaculate workspace with walls lined by concept art from my own hits. There is no judgment in her gaze, only pure admiration. We sit at the kitchen table, steam rising from our mugs. Jocelyn bites her lip. "I've been thinking a lot about your story. How your own family didn't support you. It means so much to me that you started Bright Horizons. I want to do that for other people someday. Help them chase their dreams, no matter what their parents think." I stare into my tea, blinking back tears. "That's the best legacy I can imagine," I say quietly. "To watch you grow into a mentor for someone else." She smiles, tears gleaming in her eyes. "Thank you, Avery." After she leaves, I stand by the window, the final glow of sunlight reflecting off glass towers downtown. My mind drifts to my parents again. I imagine them in their house, silent with regret, or maybe building the courage to truly reconcile. I'm not sure if I'll ever want them fully back in my life, but I'm at peace knowing I'm not that powerless kid anymore. The decisions, every last one, belong to me. Few months roll by. Blackbird Studios hosts a year-end party to celebrate Horizon Bridge surpassing records. Developers, interns, sponsors, and old friends gather in the newly finished rec room at our headquarters. Strings of twinkling lights hang from the ceiling, a DJ spins upbeat music, and pizza after pizza arrives in delivery bags. The mood is joyful. Midway through the festivities, I notice a frail figure leaning against the doorframe, half hidden behind a throng of chatting interns. It's my father, Leonard. My breath catches in my throat. His eyes scan the crowd until they land on me. Then, in a timid gesture I never thought I'd witness, he lifts a hand in a small wave. Part of me wants to dismiss him. Another part, the bigger part, is curious and cautious. I cross the room, weaving through the guests. Up close, he looks older than his years, but there's a spark of relief in his eyes as I approach. "I didn't mean to intrude," he mumbles. I wanted to see you in your element." I fold my arms, gaze steady. "How did you even get in here?" "I told security I was your father, and if you didn't want me here, I'd leave quietly. They eventually let me wait by the entrance." He coughs. "I'm sorry if that was inappropriate." I look around. No one else is paying attention, everyone immersed in the party. I let out a sigh. "You're not making a scene. You look better. Health-wise." He nods. "The procedure worked well enough. I'm still recovering, but the doctors say my prognosis is good." I nod slowly, not entirely sure how to continue. Then I surprise myself by gesturing to the refreshments table. "Do you want something to drink? Soda, water?" His eyes glisten. "Water would be nice." I lead him to a corner of the big rec room where it's quieter. I grab 2 bottles of water, and we sit on a bench as the music pumps softly in the background. There's a surreal feeling in my chest. I never imagined having a civil conversation with him again. He fiddles with the cap on his water. "I watched your interview the other week, the one about your new scholarship program. I was proud of you, so proud. And ashamed of myself for not believing in you all those years." I swallow, feeling a tightness in my chest. "Well, you believed in Haley. And her success. Always." He nods, shame coloring his features. "Yes, we did. But that success didn't last. She ended up losing a job, a marriage. She's still figuring out what she wants to do. Meanwhile, you found your own way." Silence falls between us. I think about the nights I cried, the rejections I faced, and the heartbreak of feeling worthless. None of that disappears just because he sits here now, apologetic. But maybe that's not the point. "I built something," I say quietly, "that helps people who went through what I did, abandonment, sabotage." He presses his lips together. "I see that. I can't ever undo what we did to you, Avery. I just hope one day you can see I'm not that same man and maybe I can be part of your life again. Even if it's just a small part." An unexpected wave of sympathy moves through me, followed by uncertainty. "I don't know if we can ever have a normal relationship." He nods. "I won't push. I just wanted you to know I'm proud. If you ever want to talk more, or if you want me gone, I'll respect that." I study him for a long moment, searching for insincerity and finding none. Tears prick my eyes. I set my water down, stand, and look him in the face. "You can stay at the party if you want, but no heavy conversations tonight, okay?" A tentative, hopeful smile touches his lips. "I'd like that." We rejoin the main group, still mostly unnoticed. Olivia gives me a subtle, questioning glance, but I just nod once, letting her know it's okay. My father sips his water, watching from the periphery as people laugh and dance. A handful of folks approach me to chat about the success of Horizon Bridge, and he listens quietly, occasionally smiling when they compliment me. Near the end of the evening, I catch him leaning toward one of our interns, praising the artistry of the game. My heart twists in a strange, bittersweet way. This is the father I used to fantasize about having. Supportive, even if he's decades late to the party. Later, as the party winds down, he thanks me for letting him stay. I give him a polite nod, still guarded but less bitter. We share a look, an unspoken recognition that the next steps are uncertain, but at least this moment wasn't a battlefield. A few days after that, I decide to check in with Haley. Part of me is still angry, but part of me wonders if she's changed. I phone her and she picks up on the third ring. Avery. Her voice is small, surprised. I didn't think you'd ever call me again. I press my lips together. I'm not sure why I am, I admit. But I heard you're struggling. Are you okay? She sniffles. I'm better, I guess. I'm renting a cheap apartment in Oakwood, looking for a new job. Trying to figure out how to pay off my student loans without the help of my ex. There's a lengthy pause, and I can sense she's bracing for a scolding. Sigh. Look, I'm still not over how you and Mom handled my college acceptances. I don't think I ever will be, completely. But if you're trying to do better now, I won't kick you when you're down. A sniffle again, then a deep breath. Thank you, she says softly. I'm sorry for what I did. If I could go back. I close my eyes, leaning against the countertop. I know. We can't go back. Let's just not lie to each other anymore, okay? Her voice trembles. Deal. It's a tentative truce, fragile yet surprisingly liberating. As I hang up, I realize I'm not doing it to please them or to gain their approval. I'm doing it to free myself from carrying their mistakes around like a boulder on my shoulders. More months slip by, and the gaming world shifts again. Blackbird Studios announces the sequel to Horizon Bridge, receives a surge of pre-orders, and our fans explode with excitement. I'm traveling more, giving interviews at expos and conventions. I speak on panels about forging your own path when everyone around you says no. My story resonates with so many aspiring developers. One evening, after a networking event, I find myself outside on a hotel balcony, staring at the city lights. My father stands next to me quietly, because we've ended up at the same conference. He's come to watch my keynote speech, just as a silent show of support. We make small talk about the event, about how well the speech was received. He shifts, clearing his throat. I read a quote once, something about forgiveness not being a single act but a recurring decision. Every day, you decide whether you're still angry. I stare at the skyline. Is that your way of saying you hope I keep deciding not to be angry? He lets out a low chuckle. No. It's my way of saying I understand if you feel anger sometimes. I'm just grateful you even let me stand here. I nod. We fall into comfortable silence, a far cry from the door-slamming arguments of my teenage years. It doesn't erase the past, but it's a small step toward something else. When we head back inside, the event coordinator beckons me over for pictures with fellow panelists. I wave goodbye to my father, who returns to his spot in the audience, smiling faintly. For once, I don't feel haunted by the memory of him shouting me out of our house. Perhaps Dr. Carmichael was right. This is what it means to move forward without letting your scars define you. A year later, I stand on stage in Lakebridge's largest convention center, hosting the Bright Horizons Scholarship Award ceremony. 15 bright-eyed recipients sit in chairs on stage, each holding an acceptance letter from a top-notch program. The lights are warm, the applause thunderous. The ceremony reaches its climax as I shake each recipient's hand, awarding them a certificate and a generous scholarship package. One by one, they beam with gratitude, stepping forward to share short testimonies of how they overcame family discouragement or sabotage to pursue their dreams. The audience is captivated, many wiping away tears. Finally, I take the podium, swallowing a lump in my throat. I see my father and mother near the back, standing in quiet support. Haley sits beside them, arms crossed over her chest, but when I meet her eyes, she smiles tentatively. It's a surreal moment, but not an uncomfortable one. I speak into the microphone. Growing up, I was told my passion was just a hobby, and that I would fail. I lost my family's support when I needed it most. But I discovered that real family can be the people who believe in you, even if they share no blood relation at all. The audience hushes. I glance at the bright row of scholarship recipients. And if you have a birth family that does believe in you, cherish them. But if you don't, never let that define your worth or your dreams. Let it motivate you to reach even higher. Applause bursts through the auditorium. I blink back tears, looking into the shining eyes of these future game designers, coders, artists, storytellers. This is my revenge, if you can call it that, ensuring that no one else loses their dream the way I lost mine. When the ceremony ends, my mother approaches me carefully. My father shuffles at her side, breathing a little heavily but standing taller than he used to. Haley trails behind them, hugging her purse strap with nervous hands. My mother's gaze sweeps the busy auditorium. "That was beautiful, Avery," she says, voice trembling. I see what you've built. And I'm so sorry. I wish we had seen it sooner." A gentle sadness wells in me. "Me too." My father clears his throat. "I just wanted to say, I admire how you turned your pain into something good for others. You're doing for these students what I failed to do for you." I give him a short nod. Haley steps forward, eyes soft. "That was incredible, Avery. If you ever have a position for for someone who can handle administrative work." She breaks off, looking sheepish. For a moment, it's tempting to snap at her, but my heart isn't in it anymore. Instead, I slide a business card into her hand. "We might have something open in our new administrative division. Email me your resume. We can talk." She looks at the card like it's a fragile artifact. "Thank you." I meet my father's eyes. "I'm still not sure about fully letting you back in," I admit softly, "but I'm not holding on to hatred. I can't do that anymore." He nods once, his lips curving into a sad smile. "I understand. Thank you for everything you've already done." My mother tries to hold back a sob, but it escapes. She dabs her eyes with a tissue, and Haley gently rubs her shoulder. I watch them, feeling a sense of resolution. We're not magically a perfect family, but maybe we're moving toward a fragile kind of acceptance. Outside, the sun starts to set, lighting the Lakebridge skyline with streaks of orange and pink. The scholarship recipients gather in a circle, excitedly chattering about their new opportunities. I slip away to join Olivia, who stands near the stage, arms folded, a grin stretching across her face. "You did it, Avery," she says, voice thick with emotion. "You took the worst thing that happened to you and turned it into a lifeline for others." I gaze at the bright-eyed teenagers, at the parents in the audience who clap and cheer. Some are the supportive families. Others are not. But in this moment, they're all celebrating together. And I feel the last pieces of bitterness slip away, replaced by an unshakable sense of peace. "Yeah," I whisper, smiling. "I guess I did." Later that night, after everyone has gone home, I return to my office, where the golden glow of the floor lamp illuminates the trophies and framed accolades. I walk over to the shelf, running my fingers across the engraved words on one award. Innovation of the Year. My eyes linger on another, Game Changer Award, and then on a framed newspaper article about Bright Horizons. It features a large photo of me hugging Jocelyn, our first scholarship recipient. I sink into my desk chair, letting out a breath. The memory of those hidden acceptance letters still stings, but it no longer defines me. It's part of my story but not the ending. I open my laptop and read an email from one of our newly accepted scholarship recipients. She writes about how her parents burned her sketchbooks in a misguided attempt to push her toward a more traditional career. Now she has hope and she wants to thank me for providing a real future. As tears prick my eyes, I reflect on how a single choice, like tucking away someone's acceptance letters, can alter the course of a life. But I also see how a different choice, like founding Bright Horizons, can restore those possibilities. Forged by heartbreak, yes, but also nurtured by kindness, resilience, and unwavering determination. I close the laptop and stand, strolling to the window to watch the city lights flicker. Darkness blankets the skyline, but each glowing window signifies a story, a person, a dream. In my reflection on the glass, I see not just the same girl who was cast out, but a woman who found power in adversity, who built a life of her own making. I think back to the teenage Avery, curled up in the corner of Morgan's living room, scanning borrowed coding manuals, feeling like a failure. If I could speak to her now, I'd say, "They can steal your letters, but they can't steal your brilliance. Keep going." Warmth floods my chest. My revenge drama, in the end, wasn't a brutal confrontation or a triumphant flaunting of wealth. It was a quiet revolution, transforming pain into purpose, forging a path that no one can take away. My parents may or may not ever earn a full place in my life again, but that's not the focus. The real triumph lies in the scholarship recipients who'll never have to endure the sabotage I did, and in the knowledge that I am free to define my own ending. Outside, the night sky stretches endlessly, peppered with stars. Tomorrow, I'll arrive at the studio to keep building new worlds in our games. Tomorrow, a new set of aspiring creators will apply to the scholarship. Tomorrow, the Drakes might send another carefully worded email about bridging the gap. And I'll decide what to do when that time comes. For now, I let the quiet settle around me, the golden lamp light casting soft shadows on the floor. My eyes close, a faint smile tugging at my lips. I've come a long way from that fearful homeless teenager with no future. Revenge doesn't always require destroying those who hurt you. Sometimes the greatest victory is to live well, to create beauty, and to open doors for others who've been unjustly shut out. In the hush of my office, I whisper to the stillness, "I'm free." Then I gather my things, switch off the lamp, and step into the night, ready to embrace whatever tomorrow brings. And this time the future is mine. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more jaw-dropping tales, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell. Your support means everything.